Hello and welcome to Remarkable TV with me, Shivani Gopal, as your host, the place that you go to live a fully expressed life and take your business or your career to the heights of your dreams. So first of all, let's talk about what imposter syndrome actually is. Imposter syndrome is actually a feeling. It's something that creeps in on you and makes you feel like you're not good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, experienced enough, educated enough to be where you are today, to be in the job that you have, or perhaps the relationship that you're in. And that all it's going to take is one or two mistakes to reveal the imposter that you really are. Or maybe just someone who has to spend just enough time with you to reveal that inner fraud. Now, let's get something clear. If you feel like this, you are not alone. So many high achievers actually confess to feeling this way. Mike Cannon-Brookes, the co-founder of Atlassian, openly talks about the imposter syndrome that he regularly feels. The late Maya Angelou, who was the author of 11 incredible books, in fact this one is written by Barack Obama as the title by saying, "A truly phenomenal woman and one of my great heroes," always talked about her inner imposter syndrome. In fact, research revealed over in the US that over 70% of adults actually confess to feeling like an imposter at some point in their lives. So if you feel that way, you are not alone, and we're going to show you how to identify it and what you can do about it. So now we're going to start looking at how to identify the inner imposter in you. Believe it or not, there are actually 4 types of imposter syndrome: the perfectionist, the superhero, the expert, and the natural genius. So the first one is the perfectionist. The perfectionist is the kind of imposter that comes about when you only do something if it's absolutely perfect. All your work must be absolutely A+. And if you do something that is a little bit less than perfect, you'll start to feel like that fraud within you is coming out and people are really starting to see you for who you really are. Someone who is not so perfect. In fact, if you suffer from perfectionism, as I know that I do from time to time too, you will often not even start a job unless you know that you've got enough time to make it absolutely perfect. So if you suffer from perfectionism, the mantra that I have for you is don't let perfect get in the way of progress. Next is the expert imposter, someone who's been given their job because they're an expert, but then they're constantly running into people who they think are smarter than them, more experienced than them, or more educated than them. And as a result, they almost feel like they've tricked their way into a position because of their expertise. Now, for experts, the danger is that you're always going to want to look and sound like an expert because you don't want to be discovered for being the non-expert that you feel that you are. Remember, you're not actually an imposter, but you may feel that way. So if you're feeling that way, then most experts will start to stop asking questions because they need to always be the expert that they're perceived as. And as a result, they're not going to continue their learning journey. So for any experts out there who suffer from this kind of imposter syndrome, the mantra that I have for you is this line: what makes me an expert is. And I want you to finish that sentence. What makes me an expert is. And every time you say that to yourself, you'll constantly reaffirm why you're good at what you do, and therefore give yourself the confidence and the space to be able to ask questions. Okay, so let's unpack the next one, the natural genius. Someone who's always been told how smart you are, how gifted you are, or how pretty you are, but you've always been given a label for what you are. And as a result, when you start to put any effort into something, especially if you are labeled a genius and you've been given a problem and you just can't figure it out immediately, you'll start to feel that heat setting in and you'll think, why am I not the natural genius that I know I am? And if you can't figure out the answer straight away, or if the label that you've been given is that you're always so beautiful and you walk out of the house with minimal effort and you don't feel as beautiful as you normally do, you'll start to feel more and more like an imposter. So if you feel this way, I have a mantra for you. I am what I am because of what I do, not because of who I am. Now I say that because when people are labeled Geniuses, they feel that that is who they are, and so they must always go through life as a genius. But really, it's not the label that gets you to your destination, it's the actions, it's the process that gets you there. And by giving yourself a mantra that you are who you are because of what you do, not because of who you are, it really changes the dynamic. It puts the focus on the process. And when you commit yourself to the process, you will become whoever it is that you want to be. Then there is the Superman or Superwoman imposter. People who identify with the superhero complex of imposter syndrome tend to feel that they constantly need to prove themselves through action or productivity, constantly overextending themselves. If you feel this way, you'll find you're constantly offering help. You're constantly putting up your hand for new projects, always saying yes, always doing a little bit too much because you feel that is how you define your sense of value. If you identify with this superhero complex of imposter syndrome, the mantra that I want you to use is asking for help is how I go from good to great. Okay. So we've gone through the 4 types of imposter syndrome, and I hope that when you were watching that, you thought really hard about which type really resonated with you, because it's so important that you take that knowledge as power so that you can identify and banish that inner imposter away. So folks, that is how you identify your inner imposter. I hope you liked it, I hope it helped, and I hope it's going to help you kick that imposter to the curb. And if it did help, please like this video, please subscribe, comment, tell us what you thought, what else you'd like to hear, and please share it with your friends. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next week.